Hello, GenRight Nation. Thanks for joining me. It is April 19th, and we are here for another episode of Tech Talk. This is something that we do live on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's awesome. I love doing this, and thank you all of you for joining us. So as always, we welcome your questions and comments. So just type them in. I've actually got Jen back here to help me with the show and read the questions. So by all means, fire away. So we'll try and answer those to the best of our ability. We've actually got a good show for you today. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 392 JL EXS that we just finished, and we're going to talk about some DIY things that you can do on your Jeep. We've got a Jeep sitting here that we're going to spin around and talk about in just a second. So, Jen, why don't we, unless you want to tell me who we got watching?
Yeah, we got
let's talk about it.
your mom,
Nice. Hey, Mom.
Ed Gladden Jr.,
Cool.
Peter Doolin's watching from Virginia,
Nice.
Jeff Lone,
Nice.
VB Tom, Esther Parrott Newcomb,
Awesome.
Summer Ann,
Nice.
Patrick Vaughn.
Summer Ann just got those new JL corners.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Adam Halfley, Gary Swagger, Jamie Popolo, Terry Runyon, Kelly Sims, Rick Harrington,
Big Cal.
Leaf Barron, Laura Coda, Pat Wilson, Byron Roberts, and Ari.
Wow, all right. Great group of people. Thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna do a quick video walk around of what we did on the 392. It's gonna take about 3-4 minutes. I'll be able to talk as well as we're watching it. Again, if you guys have any questions, and remember, there are no dumb questions. I've got people emailing me asking questions that they're afraid to ask, on here with everybody. But by all means, other people have the exact same questions. Yesterday, I spent a bunch of time answering questions about bump stops and other things. And I'm not talking about hydraulic, air style bump stops. I'm talking about just regular ones and how much distance there should be. So these are all things that I'm happy to talk about. And there's more to it than meets the eye. So if we have time toward the end of the show, I'll recap on some of that stuff. But Jen, why don't we go ahead, unless you got some questions right now.
First question,
Okay.
Is that Jeep 392 yours?
No. So I wish. Of course, I got done building mine, and then they came out with a 392. So I've got my 3.6 for a while until I blow it up. This one was a customer in Cincinnati, Ohio. He already has it. He got it last Saturday, I think. And yeah, he's been out driving it. He's out wheeling it right now and loves the way it drives. We're actually gonna show you a little bit of video of me driving this one as well as a walk around. So
We do have a couple questions if you want
okay,
to
sure.
start. Well, Jeff Perkins, no dumb questions. Hey, Tony, what are your thoughts on ORI shocks? He's a prankster.
Way to start off the show.
Summer Ann said, I've been getting asked a lot about two-door JL products, corners specifically. I'll advocate and ask if that is something in the works.
So whether it's two-door JL or two-door JK, those people need to pick up the phone and be bombarding my sales department with the fact that they're ready to buy parts. We don't, it's crickets for those products. So unless we see something really happen, it's gonna stay crickets. So I encourage them to call in and be ready to buy, put their credit card down.
We have an off-topic question
Sure.
from Ed Sauls. Stock drivetrain evap canister 17 JK, put armor on or relocate to above rear axle.
It's easy just to buy a $150 skid plate to throw on there. The evap canisters are a little bit tricky. If you start moving them, you can A 17 isn't that old, but sometimes those hoses, they're hard plastic, they'll get brittle and crack. So, you know, but both are options. Depends on how handy you are and how much time you have. But throwing on a skid plate's super easy, for sure.
Charles asked, what paint do you use on your frames? What about Steel It?
Yeah, actually, that's what's on this 392 is Steel It, black Steel It. I like the gray or silver or whatever they call it. I think it makes metal look like titanium. I absolutely love that color. But this one's got black Steel It. So does Aftershock, as a matter of fact.
And so. Kent Wolf asked, will the GenRight door armrest work with stock doors?
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's funny you should ask, because I was just writing some instructions for this. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory myself. But if you look right here, there's actually 2 different holes that you can put the pin in. And when you do that, it'll fit a bunch of different years. And then this side is slotted. So it moves about 1 inch forward to back so that you can get the armrest nice and square on your door. And these, yeah, that's a great question. They fit the best top soft doors too. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if I can grab this one right here. You know, this style, you know, where you've just got like a simple soft door and these things literally just drop right in. So just like the window did, right? So there you go, easy enough. And then, you know, when you want to put your window back on, you just pop it out. And I do have some people that, you know, when these are in there, the pins are long so that it's not like they bounce out, but they'll actually put a little collar or something on the bottom, or you could put a set screw in. So it just depends. Some people don't want other people to walk off with them, so I get that too. So
Brandon Smith asked, what is the best intercom setup for in-car and car-to-car?
Yeah, so that's going to be, I happen to have a rugged radio right here. I don't have the intercom sitting here, but yeah, the rugged makes a great intercom. It ties into the radio, so then you can have a push to talk, or you can use the microphone, depending on whether you have headsets on or whatever, helmets. That's all we use is that system. They're super reliable, and the new ones actually will tie your cell phone in. You can listen to music through them, Bluetooth. I mean, they're really nice. They've come a long way in the last, you know, few years. So definitely worth checking out. It's not cheap, I'll warn you. Don't get shell shock on that. Kent
Wolf wants to know if the Tony Express can bring a set of door armrests to Jeep Beach.
Absolutely.
All right.
Come. You can. I know we're gonna have them at the booth. If you find us before that, I might even be able to give you a set prior to that.
The questions are rolling in.
Nice.
Rick Turner asked, can you build a Tracer TJ to LJ with the 4.0 for now, with eventual plans to LS later?
Yes.
I know it was originally designed for V8.
Yes, in fact, that's, okay, so let's go over here, So if you guys hear me talk about this all the time, if you go to our gallery on our website, and you scroll down here to that Andrew, our Andrew Harris, has an LJ. So his is called Pay Dirt, and if you click on this, this is a full Tracer build with the stock engine, transmission. And you can see this whole thing in great detail. So
let me zoom in again. The camera just went black for a second, but came back. I don't know why.
We're not pulling too hard on the cord again, are we?
No, I don't know what that was. Sorry, guys.
But we're back for sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So this build, you can see it in great detail, and then there's a spec list that you can click on. But this is the stock engine. So the good news is, down the road, yep, you can buy our LS motor mounts, throw them right in there, change the radiator, do the exhaust, and LS it out. So yeah, definitely use a stock platform for now.
Okay, a couple more questions.
Sure.
Off-topic questions. Do you sell the JL aluminum bumpers powder coated if requested?
If requested. So what happens is our powder coating out here in California is not cheap. And we'll only do it because it requires a lot of extra packaging to get it shipped to wherever you are without getting scratched. So if it gets to you and it's a little scuffed or whatever, we're not going to take it back. It's just, it is what it is. We do our best to get it out to you without any marks on it. If you really want show quality powder coating, you got to do it locally. That you go there and pick it up and everything. That's always the best. And anywhere other than California is cheap for powder coating. So
okay,
sorry.
Peter has a question about Angela's Jeep.
Okay.
Stock TJ, it's time to replace the rusty gas tank as the pump just gave out. Which GenRight tank is a stock replacement bolt-in?
So you've got, there's a 20 and a 25 gallon that are direct replacements. And those will take the factory fuel pump, all the evap, everything will hook back in. Now, obviously, if it's old and rusty, put a new fuel pump module in while you're there. And if you don't have one of our access plates, I recommend that too while you're there. So and if you're not familiar with any of this stuff, remember, you just go to our website and you can type in any part of the word. So access. And it'll pull up every access plate we offer. And you can see them all right here. And under the tanks, you can shop by vehicle and go to TJ. And then this is going to pop up and you can go to gas tanks. And it'll show you what you've got. Now, there's going to be some in here that say, hey, you know, you need coilovers or whatever. This is the one that you would want right here. What we call our Crawler EXT would be the one that Peter would want. It's an easy bolt-in. And we've got, there's two other ones right here that is 24.5 gallon. So if there's no plans to put in a bigger rear end or link it or do any of that stuff, stretch it, then I would choose this one. It is...
He says he's not going to race it at KOH.
Okay, then it's this one. It's a 24.5 gallon, and this is a great way to go. And this is literally 7 bolts from your skid plate. You use the same 7 bolts and it bolts right back in. So couldn't really get much easier. There, that's what it looks like right there.
Okay, and then Terry Runyon asks on the GenRight fuel tanks, do you guys put any sealer on the 2 top vents, specifically where the rubber grommets meet the aluminum tank?
No, actually they should fit tight. So if you find that yours are weeping, you could pop the vent, that rubber gasket out, use 100% silicone. You can't use RTV, you have to use 100% silicone, and put that back in. It takes about 24 hours to dry, and trust me, that baby will never leak again. I like this stuff. This is my favorite. It happens to be made by JB Weld, readily available at Walmart, auto parts stores, everything. This is high temp, and even though this says RTV, it says 100% silicone. So this happens to be red in color or like a dark orange, and it's a gasket maker and sealant. This stuff is tough. So.
Okay, Tim Gash said, placing brake lines to front axle with 3-link and wonder if I should have a line to each wheel or use a single line and split on the axle to go to each side. 05 TJ on 37s. So
we do a single line down and out. Now 05, you got anti-lock brakes. So if you're gonna use the anti-lock brakes, you actually have to have 2 separate lines going. So just depends on whether you're still utilizing that or omitting that. So, but yes, single line down, clean. But if you're going to use those anti-lock brakes, you got to run 2 lines.
Okay, Heaven Guard asked, Jeep TJ swing down tire carrier, will it accommodate the Mickey Thompson 43-inch tire or just the 42-inch tire?
So that the biggest tire I've tried in there is a 1450. So I don't know whether that tire is a 1450, a 1550, or a 1650. So if it is, if it's bigger, all that means is that instead of it folding all the way up parallel, you might have to put a spacer in at the top and it would sit out just a little bit. Super easy to do, put a spacer in there, and the spacer would go under the bracket. And I don't know, we don't have, there's usually a picture of one around here, sorry. Oh, maybe I can do it right here. Let's try that. Because it'll be a little easier.
Zooming in on the laptop screen is challenging, just so you know.
Yeah, sorry.
Give me a minute.
Okay, so zoom back in.
And then I have to darken it quite a bit.
There, how's that?
Yeah, I
can you see? Okay, so what I'm talking about is a spacer right here underneath this bracket that the pin goes through. And so, by the way, this is a, no, that's a 1350, that's a 40. So you can see there's, you know, like 1.5 inches, 2 inches there. You might be able to squeeze in a 1550, but if you just put a spacer in right here on either side, that'll kick that out enough and you could put a 1650 easy. And by the way, a 42 is a real 42. That 43 is like a 41. So it'll easily fit in there as far as if you're worried about size. Okay?
Nick Repanich wants to know how's the progress on 4485.
Well,
let's show him. Let's show him.
You can swing around, but it's not much.
It's gnarly.
It's not much. It's sad.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at all these parts, Nick.
The front axle's out. The suspension's off. The good news is that I just got a call from the guys at Fox, and they are doing some really trick stuff to my shocks and air bumps that is going to now set the new standard for the Fox shocks, the 3.0 internal bypass that we sell to you guys, the public. So, yeah, it's going to be trick, and I'll have those back in 3 weeks. So,
more questions.
I'll get the rest of it fixed up. I'll make sure that by the time the shocks come back, it's ready to rip. So, and I'll have it at Heiser's Roundup, for those that are wondering.
Tim Lowe wants to know, what fuel rollover valve do you recommend?
So I like the factory ones. They're still available from the Jeep dealer, and those are the best. They really are. So.
Andrew Gardner wants to know, when's the next round of JLU corners shipping out? Can't wait to get mine. Summer's making me jealous.
So I know they produced more today, so there should be plenty available and ready to ship either later this week or early next week, just as the guys are, because they came out of production, now they're going to packaging. So yeah, the guys are knocking them out. So that's, and I'm going to look for that rollover valve because I'm pretty sure we sell that too.
Pete Laura says, Tony,
we do.
You can only pick one, a 104-inch TJ Tracer with an LS3 or an LJ Tracer with 4.0. Both options on 40s. Which one would you pick? You
want the longer wheelbase. That if you guys, if you're on Facebook, go follow Steve Waterman. And he just finished his TJ to LJ, and he just went up this crazy obstacle where it went up and turned, and he said it was like driving a highway. So yeah, Steve Waterman, check that out. His latest post is pretty incredible.
Okay, Mark Lawrence said 04 LJ installing the tracer kit, purchased a 26-gallon tank. Question, the clearance on the top of the tank is rubbing on a cross member. Would the GenRight rear bumper lower the tank a bit for better clearance?
So it was a TJ, right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay, so those tanks recommend a body lift
LJ.
Or a spacer. So you could put a 1/2-inch spacer underneath the mounts that'll drop that a little bit and give you some more clearance. But yeah, or you can get up underneath on your tank and really carefully place everything and keep things from rubbing. We get people that are totally against body lifts, and I tell them you can do it, but you know, if you ever really land hard on that, then your fuel pump and everything's going to get into the bottom. I just recommend. I mean, I'm on Facebook Messenger every day with people who are texting me that are asking me about body lifts, and I'm like, look, every single build we ever did here left with a 1-inch body lift. Curry, all these guys that, you know, have come up through the years, we just did it. It actually, not only does it allow you more room, but it helps airflow underneath the Jeep. So I'm a big fan of that body lift for sure.
Caro asked, did you modify the cats for the front control arm brackets?
On this? Not sure what on. So cats are a very interesting thing. If you want to be smog legal, depending on what state you live in, they need to be in the factory location right out of the manifold. If you're talking about something older, you know, where the cat is further down the line. But if you move the cats, you may or may not still pass OBD2. So you just got to be super careful with what that looks like. So.
And Lou Gill asked, are any JK products going to be at Jeep Beach?
There might be, and what we don't have, we can certainly make a deal for you on that stuff. By the way, we're going to have a promotion where if you're an existing, well, actually, because it's a slide I have coming. But if you're an existing customer, we're going to have shirts for you, and if you buy something at Jeep Beach, you're going to get a shirt. So, anyways, that's all while supplies last. Let's
yeah, we're caught up.
Let's move on to the video. You're playing that through OBS, right?
Okay.
And the yellow cups are in and available. People are ordering them.
Okay, here comes the 392 video.
Hey everybody, Tony Pellegrino with GenRight Off-Road, and this is the highly anticipated 392 build on our EXS chassis. We finished this up at the end of March, and here it is. I've just finished all the test drives, and I want to do a quick walk around and show you all the highlights on this build. Okay, if you're not familiar with our EXS chassis, this is a 3-link front and double triangulated 4-link rear with a completely flat belly on a brand new frame. It also includes a built-in front bumper. We've put on a worn 10S winch on here, the Xeon winch, and our fair lead and some aftermarket lights. Of course, this has the 392 Hemi engine in it with Jeep's awesome 8-speed transmission. Underneath, we've got Curry 70 axles front and rear, along with our GenRight high steer and RCV axle shafts in the front. Of course, this suspension features the King 3-inch internal bypass coil over shock and a 2-inch air bump. Everybody's big concern with a build on 40-inch tires is that when it comes to a tight canyon, that the vehicle won't handle anymore. We've already proven over and over again, but this is the after. We did it before, now we're doing an after of our 392 EXS build on 40-inch tires. So we're going to take a rip through box skating. A lot of these turns are 15 mile an hour recommended turns, so we're already doing double that. We've upgraded the steering, so this is a Ram Assist steering that's got a lot of our special components in it, and the response is excellent. This chassis also has a special version of our rockers, the frame-mounted rockers. These are 250 wall, and they include an extra skid plate right here on the bottom. The EXS chassis features a completely flat belly with a 70/75 aluminum skid plate. Of course, for this build, we chose Mickey Thompson Baja Boss MT mud terrain tires and Innovate wheels. These are really nice forged wheels. We've got R1 brakes that are blue anodized all the way around to match the King shocks. This build also got our 26-gallon fuel tank with an aluminum skid plate. The nice part about how we did these shock towers is that you're able to keep all the factory interior, just make some minor trims, and everything goes right back in. We installed a Rockwell Road air system under the seat. This Jeep also got an 8-button Switch Pro to control all the electronics.
There we go.
All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you could hear the audio.
They could hear everything.
Because the engine sounds great on that thing. That's a custom dual 3-inch exhaust all the way out that we built out of stainless steel, and that thing.
They're saying, wow, sweet.
It is awesome. It is awesome. So that customer is going to be back. They were in a hurry to get delivery. But they want a cage, they want more stuff, so, but yeah, that you'll continue to see. We're already on the next 2 392 builds right on the other side of this wall. So we're hauling. We've got 12 of these to do, and we're just clicking them away. So if you're one of those people that's watching, like Ed Markowitz or somebody like that, then you're coming up quick. So it's going to be awesome.
Jerome is curious to hear Tony's thoughts on the 392 all-wheel drive versus your aftershock with the standard Rubicon transfer case.
Yeah, so this one that we just finished, we completed with the standard Rubicon 392 transfer case. That required us to put RCV axles in the front. That will probably be the last one that I build that way. I want the rest to come with an Atlas, and then allow the driver to select what he wants. So those factory transfer cases have a clutch mechanism, and if you push them hard in the sand or in the mud, that front end will drop out, and then you only have rear wheel drive. And I don't know about you, but I find that unacceptable when I want 4-wheel drive. So
everyone loves that 392 build.
It's awesome, man. I'll tell you, if I could do one, I would. And if you're on the fence about, your Jeep, or maybe you'd like a 392, 2024 will be the last year that they build that 392. And they're selling every single one they could make. So, maybe you'd be lucky enough to get one.
Is the 392 still all-wheel drive, correct?
Yes, from the factory. It's because it's got the Dana 44s. So with that kind of power to just the rear end, you'd blow it up before you got out of the driveway.
Tom Nagley said, adding the GR armor to my 392. Tony already knows.
Nice.
Jason asked, price for everything in that build that you showed?
They'd have to call in and talk to Andrew. Andrew's our build guy inside. Andrew Harris.
We have a question. Bo Parham said 04 TJ 4.0 5-speed bone stock. Getting ready to do front highline fenders due to a small traffic collision. I'm going to also do sliders and rear corners at a later time. Should I wait until I have the sliders and rear corners, or is there a specific order to put the armor on the Jeep?
No, you're fine to do the fenders. Then the next thing I would do is the rockers and then the corners. Because when you put the corners on, you're going to slide those down so that it meets the top of the rocker. And that'll make for a really clean install where all the seams and everything are tight. So,
and
good question.
Two Feathered Channel wanted to know, why do you choose the 5 lug over the 8 lug on those Curry axles on the 392?
Okay. So there's some definite reasons behind that. So the 5, by the way, this is not the same 5 lug that you see on a JL or a JK. This is 5 on 5.5. Okay, the 5 on 5.5 is the original Jeep bolt pattern, and 5 on 5.5 is hub centric. And you have to go to, because a standard like JL or JK is 5 on 5, which is not big enough to fit a locking hub in the front. So you've got to go to 5 on 5.5. That also means that when the wheel goes on, it fits tight on the hub, and the lugs literally only hold the wheel onto the vehicle. The hub is actually doing all the work. And this is very strong. We've raced KOH forever and ever, you know, in cars like that. I don't know, can they see up there?
Oh, no.
All of those, both those, actually all those cars run the exact same bolt pattern. We've run that bolt pattern for, I don't know, 17, maybe more, 20 years. And it is bulletproof, really, really good. And you get a better brake package. So when you go 8 lug, it's got this like funky, oversized, overweight, you know, calipers on it, and this is really the trick way to go. And you could probably see the R1, which is a 6-piston billet brake system that we put on this thing, just unbelievably good. So, but great question. A lot of people, because they're so used to going and getting junkyard axles, they only come 8 lug. So that's why everybody's all about 8 lug. It is not the way to go. So.
A couple of people are asking if the Atlas transfer cases are available and work with the JL.
They're not.
Not available yet?
They're just, if you placed an order like 2 years ago, you might be getting a call that says, hey, we're about ready to deliver yours. They're slowly trickling them out. And if you have a 392, that even takes a different transfer case than a regular JL. So yeah, be patient. Be patient.
Angel asked, is it true that they are putting much beefier axle shafts in the new version of Dana 44s? Every day I see more people running 40s like it's nothing.
Those people are sorely mistaken. And I don't care if you stick a 35 or a 40 spline axle in that. The pinion is your weak link. You've got to get the proper gears to run a 40. You have one tooth in contact. And you may be able to get away with that for a little while, but the day you've got to tow off one of your friends, the next trip you go on, that sucker's going to snap.
Okay, and Brian Mize, your TJ to LJ build, rear bench reinstalled, better, same, or worse than factory strength? I have 3 and 6-year-old kids. Any UTV or other seating options you recommend for little kids in LJ?
Okay, so this is we've actually, when we did our conversion TJ to LJ in our bow tie, which is now tuxedo, which you can also see on our website, we added a seat back in there. Now, when you do that, you've got the option to actually put that seat wherever you want. We added an additional cross member in there. We put in a PRP bucket seat, and we used the factory seat belts, and we put harnesses in. So you get lots of options that way. By the way, the seat could literally come unbolted when you're wearing a harness, and the harness will keep you in that vehicle. The seat literally does nothing. So, and ask me how I know, because I've crashed a race car at well over 100 miles an hour, and the harness does all the work. So.
Caro asked, after doing the axle swap on the 392, is it still full-time 4-wheel drive, or can you disconnect the front axle with the taser programmer?
So you can disconnect it with a taser. That's a great question. Yes, this particular one we did is full-time 4-wheel drive. But like I said, the moment I can get the Atlas, we've got 10 Atlases for these on order. The moment we get them, we will never build it that way again. Yes, you can disengage it with the taser, but you might have missed what I said. If you use the factory transfer case, I don't care if you put it in 4-wheel drive, high or low, if you overheat that front clutch assembly, it will drop out and you will have 2-wheel drive. So, and trust me, when that happens, you want 4-wheel drive. 2-wheel drive is going to leave you stranded. So.
What gear ratios in the axles of the 392?
Well, this build is 538. Yeah, and when you have a Dana 70, that puts 3 teeth in contact. And they're huge, huge. I have some gears around here somewhere, but they're huge.
Is Tony going to be at 4x4 night in Simi?
I am. Yes, I am. I'll be driving my YJ because my Aftershock is in Daytona and my Terremoto's in the lift.
VB Tom, could you stretch an LJ with the TJ to LJ kit?
Say that one more
Could
time.
you stretch an LJ with the TJ to LJ kit? Stretch an LJ?
Well, you wouldn't need to. All you need is our tracer kit to stretch the LJ.
Oh.
So.
Okay, we're caught up on questions for now.
Wow, that was quick.
There was a lot.
Fast and furious. I like it.
There will be more.
Okay. Now we're going to get to the DIY maintenance part of our show. You can see I've got some stuff sitting out here. Basically, here's what we're going to do. Jennings just drove her 2019 Jeep JL Rubicon all the way to Moab and back. She wheeled it while she was out there, and it is time to perform some maintenance. It needs an oil change. It needs a cabin air filter. It needs an air filter. And I've got all the parts. I wanted to talk to everybody about this. Now, hers happens to be the 2-liter turbo, which isn't quite as common. So I know Summer's got that, but not quite as common as the V6. So there's a couple little things that are different, but not substantial. I'll talk about those. And honestly, you just need a couple of basic tools, and you can do this whole thing. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of step everybody through this. We are going to stick with the factory grade of oil, but we're going to upgrade to Torco synthetic, a full synthetic, and that'll give the engine better protection. It is a little bit more money, but you know, if you blow up an engine, it's cheap. So, all right. Any questions before I head over and start talking about this?
When are you coming back to the center of the country to go wheeling? Stephen Birch asked.
So that's going to be in July. We are going to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to what was the Superlift Park. I don't know what they call it now. We're going to be doing a thing back there. And I'm also going to Ohio for the National Mickey Thompson Jeep Night on the 22nd. So we got a lot of, and then in addition to that, I'll be back in Tennessee for Smoky Mountain and staying to wheel at Windrock. So we got a lot going on, and yeah, by all means, we'll be pumping more of that information out as well.
We just reminded Summer that she needs to replace her cabin filter.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you guys how to do all this, right? So let's head over here, and I'll show you what we're doing. Okay, so first off, let me turn this on because I know it's a little bit dark. So your air filter is right here, and these are not the clip style anymore. You know, some of the older Jeeps just had these big clips that you undid, and then you could lift this off. Now there's 4 bolts, and by the way, the bolts do not have to come all the way out. They only have to come about halfway out. They're Phillips head or 5/16 or 8 millimeter, and you just loosen those up. And there's 2 way back here, and this inside one right here is a little bit difficult to get to because it's got the main plug for the electric fan. So you can get to it, just be patient, get to it. Then once you get the bolts loose, you're literally gonna like lift this up, and then you're gonna slip out the air cleaner. And we know this one is dirty. So you can see how nasty it is. And we're gonna replace that with a brand new one. Now, you see this little dark spot right here? That's because on the turbo, there's a part of the evap system ties right in over the top of this. The other thing I want you to do while you have this open is look inside here and make sure that through this port, you didn't suck in any leaves or other things that are in there getting your air filter dirty. So let me grab the new one. And this is just a $20 filter that we picked up over at the auto parts store. And these babies, you can see the new one is quite a bit cleaner.
Dusty engine bay, that's right.
Yes, it is. Well, she uses it, right? Just came back from Moab. Okay, so you slide the new one in. Make sure you get it all the way in there. And there's a little seal around the outside. I don't know how much of this they can see.
There we go.
There we go.
No
Okay.
K&N?
So no, we didn't do a K&N. This is just a standard paper filter. They're about $20 over at the auto parts store. But what you want to do is, this has a seal around the edge that you need to push down in here, okay? Then, very carefully, put this guy back on. You got to make sure that this seats, and then you can tighten up the bolts, okay? So this is not hard to do. Anybody can do this, and it's one of those things that certainly after a long trip like we just had, where we were wheeling day after day after day, you need to put a new filter in. And if you watch a YouTube video, they're going to tell you to loosen this clamp, and you don't really need to do all that stuff. That's 100% up to you. And I'm not happy with how this is seating. There we go. That's what I'm after.
Mike Stewart asked, can you talk about the difference in oil weights for the front and rear diffs and why?
Sure. So the rear differential, and if you've never done this, I encourage you to do it. The rear differential works a lot harder than the front. And if you don't believe me, the next time you're driving your Jeep anywhere, when you stop, get out and feel it. It's going to be so hot, it's going to probably leave your fingerprints on the diff cover. Okay, so the rear differential needs a heavier weight oil, typically a 75-140 or an 85-140, and the front would be like a 75-90. If you're in super cold weather in the wintertime, you can run a 75-90 in the rear, and that'll actually churn a little better, and it gives you a little bit better gas mileage, right? The thinner the oil, the better the mileage. And I'll tell you, when you look at a race car, like a street race car, like a NASCAR or something like that, they're actually running ATF in the differentials. They're running a 7.5 weight because they're trying to let the gears turn and spin without taking up any horsepower. In your case, you want cushioning, right? Remember, I just told you, depending on what race you have 1, 2, or 3 teeth in contact on the ring and pinion. And you need all the help you can get. You want reduced friction, you want cushioning, you want everything that a synthetic oil, gear oil, can provide you in that differential, and that will keep your rear end alive. Not only the ring and pinion, but the bearings and locker and everything that's in there. You got to crack that open and take it to a shop. You're talking $1,000 easy, probably more like $2,000. And you really, spending $20 a quart on oil will be well worth it. So, but great question. Yes. And by the way, in the race cars where we're doing extreme horsepower and extreme conditions, we're running 250 weight, which has an additive called moly in it to help cushion the gears. And if we don't do that, they'll break in the first 100 miles. So yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Joe Gober asked, do you have any recommendations for a TJ cabin air filter? Don't think they ever came with one from the factory. Yeah,
that's interesting. I've seen people that do them right on that intake, just below the windshield. I've seen them on the outside. I've seen them on the inside. And they just run a paper filter like we just put in up in there. And yeah, that's a great question, because otherwise that stuff, the first time you turn on the air conditioning, it's like, you just get blasted. Okay, so on these, retighten those 4 bolts and you'll be good to go. Whether it's the 2-liter turbo or the V6, this is going to be very similar. Even the 392 is very similar. So
Patrick is asking, should you remove that hood insulation?
Okay, so on mine,
hood louvers can get air.
That's right. So it takes more than that. So on mine, come on, get out of there. Come on. Come on. It does not want to go. Okay, so there's a couple of things. You can cut this out, okay, but the bottom of the vent still has a a hard plastic shell on it. That's what I was trying to pop that out and show you. You can literally scribe it with a box knife or use a cutoff wheel and knock that off, and then you'll actually have full airflow. But that's what I did on Aftershock, and I do recommend that. We're going to do that on this. This poor little thing runs really hot. And if you haven't driven one of these, they're pretty spunky, so we definitely want to get the heat out of there with the turbo, for sure.
What's the width on the Curry 70 axle?
We run 70 inches mounting surface to mounting surface. That is our standard, whether it's TJ, LJ, JK, JL, 70 inches.
Okay, how do you feel about the K&N oil impregnated engine air filters? They claim they can be washed out and reused. I've always been a bit skeptical and just replaced them.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Because of cameras and, you know, doing this here on the show, it's a little bit hard to tell you or show you. But when I lifted this up, I actually looked inside this intake tube, and I want to make sure that there's no dust getting through the filter, okay? Now, if you run a K&N and you wash it and you don't oil it properly, you will find that dust gets into the intake, and that's going to damage your mass airflow and eventually get into the engine and wear components. If you're very worried about your warranty, then I suggest you use the paper filter, because if they find a K&N in there, or one of those kind of filters, the dealer could say, we're not going to warranty this, because they want you to use that standard style. So, good question though.
Tom just added that the 392s have the hood airflow with ducting inside of the hood directing the airflow to cool, but it still gets hot.
Yes, yes. So, and by the way, all that ducting is mostly to get cool air to the intake. Because what happens is as soon as warm air is introduced into the intake, there's a temperature sensor that is monitoring the temperature of the air. It starts taking timing out, which makes no power. It just removes horsepower and the thing feels like a dog. So the colder the air you can have going in, that's why there was all these cold air induction kits. The colder the air, the better. So,
where can I get one of those yellow GenRight hats?
You can get a yellow GenRight cup.
It's a serious question. You can't.
You can't.
There's only Tony has them.
There's only one. Yeah.
Okay, we're all caught up.
Okay.
Continue.
So button this back up. You're good to go. Now let's go underneath, and we're going to change the oil and the filter. Okay. So the filter is a tiny little guy. Now, if you've got a 6-cylinder, they're up here. If you've got the 4-cylinder, they're down below. So I don't know that we need to necessarily do this. You can't exactly follow me. But what I can do is go to the slide. Let's go to the slide. Because I did find a couple interesting things down there when I was down there. We're gonna bypass this and we'll come back and the events. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to show you was I found damage on the oil pan. So this was surprising, and she's lucky because this has a sheet metal oil pan where the V6 has a cast aluminum. These marks would have definitely broken the oil pan and it would have been trouble. So this is, now keep in mind, this is the factory lift and she's on 35s. So she has some ground clearance, but not a tremendous amount, right? The tranny pan was clean, the little dinger right there, right? So again, you built a rock crawler. That means you put the wheels on the rocks, not a rock dodger. You built a rock crawler, so you want to crawl the rocks.
This is my daily driver. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in general. They all, even when they're on 40s, they try and dodge the rocks. It's like, come on, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here,
Getting offended.
the drain plug's right here. It's a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter, and the oil filter's right here. Super easy to change. You put one oil pan under, everything drains out. It takes 5 quarts, and like I said, we're running synthetic, and that's a great way to keep this engine alive. So we're probably going to look at, if she continues to do off-roading, maybe some kind of an engine skid on this thing to make sure she doesn't get back into that oil pan again. But if you don't have any questions, then we're going to go to the cabin filter because I know everybody's interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it. You're going on the driver's side.
Okay.
Okay. Can they see in here? Mm-hmm. All right. So to get to your cabin filter, you open the glove box. There's a little plastic thing you push up right there, and then the glove box comes off. Just take that out. And the cabin filter is right here. And you squeeze these two little tabs, and you remove this cover. And then you got to pull the filter out. Now this one is absolutely nasty. So you can see it's really bad.
Ooh.
And here's the deal. In a pinch, what you could do is you could shake this thing out and get through a trip. We bought a brand new one to put in here. These are cheap. They're like $8, and I would not wash this. The paper really deteriorates, and right now in the condition this is in, it's going to make the air conditioning system work terrible. Like it's literally going to blow it like half of its capability. So if you find that you're driving your JK or JL and the vents just don't seem like they're blowing as good, you need to check this because it's trashed. All right. So we're going to change that dude out.
David Mork's asking what radios I have in there. I have a CB and a ham radio.
Yeah.
I don't know, the Uniden, I think.
And if you're curious about this thing, this is from Scotia. They sell these that clip over, and then I added that middle piece to tie them two together so you can put two phones up there.
Yeah, it's a double phone and mic mount.
Okay.
Great.
So the new filter has arrows that show up. So
yeah, ham and CB, although we never use CB anymore.
No, not so much. Then you got to kind of squish this thing down to get it in here, just because the opening's a little tight. Get in there. Come on, baby. There we go. Just kind of feed it in there.
Ricardo Matos said, got a 2018 Rubicon Unlimited JK. Changing diff cover on front and back, was going to use Royal Purple Max gear oil 7590 for front and back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I would prefer to see people use something better like Torco, but that's fine. Some people for a long time Royal Purple was the only thing available, but Mobile One makes one, Valvoline makes, everybody's got a synthetic now. Torco is like the leader in that stuff. Their additives, everything that they do is the best on the market. So, okay, so now I put the filter back in. This thing just locks in right here at the bottom of the dash. So you just put that in and close it, and you're done. So changing the cabin filter is that easy. So, all right. So don't put that off. All right. More questions? How are we doing? I'm gonna go back then, because we got about 5-10 minutes left.
One, is GenRight gonna make high fenders for the JL?
So at some point we will. When the JL first came out, I started with a whole new design. It's an entirely new fender, and then it turned out that even with 40s, it didn't. You can't even get enough articulation to get up there and rub the fender. So because you got to remember, when you go to a tube style fender, it's not thick like the factory things, like 4 inches thick. Ours is much more narrow, so it automatically gives you that 3 inches that a high fender would have given you. So I know there's people out there hyping the high fender. Once I did a little bit of homework and figured out that this is all you really needed, the project just kind of got backburnered. You know, if to do a whole new fender, you know, you're talking about a significant amount of money more. So, hey, if people want to spend twice as much, man, I'll make it. I'm happy to. So
Tim Geary said, I have a 17 JK Rubicon and I've been chasing overheating issues. Radiator, pump, and thermostat have been replaced. Still getting hot, but not overheating. 230-ish. Any ideas?
Yes, I got a couple ideas for you. So first off, the gal behind the camera was super crazy about going through mud holes. And you know what was clogged? Her radiator. Okay? And when the motor got hot, it dropped a valve seat. So I suggest you get after this right away. So you got two things happening. First off, I would get a heavy duty cleaner and spray it into that radiator. Take off the grill if you need to. Get in there, go to the high pressure car wash and spray out that radiator core to the best of your ability. If you feel like you cannot do that, throw that radiator away and get another one. They're not that expensive. The next thing, if that's clear, it's your fan, okay? And the connections are corroded, the relay's bad, the fan motor's bad. If you've done all that other stuff, it's the fan. So look, this is not rocket science for me. I know this like the back of my hand. I appreciate the question, and you've made the right steps. Now, those are the last two things. It's one or both of those things, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So,
love that shirt color.
Is the screen good? It's not glary right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it a little darker.
So, this is the brand new Jeep Beat shirt. I don't know how much detail they can
Hold
see.
on, let me see if I
It is really cool. Jamie did a stellar
There we
design on
go.
this. And that is the Aftershock JL sitting on the beach. And these shirts are absolutely going to kill it out there.
And we have a V-neck version for women.
V-neck version. This is a limited edition, limited quantity. Don't call in and say, hey, can we save you one? No way. You got to be in Daytona to get one of these. And if you don't have any GenRight parts, you still want one, they're $10. So we got all kinds of promotions going on. If you come to our booth, we're going to have like a wheel of fortune, kind of a spinning wheel that you can spin and win all kinds of cool stuff. So you're definitely going to want to track us down when we're out there. There's going to be, 8 or 10 of us there. And we're going to be on the beach or we're going to be at the Speedway. Those are the two places to find us for sure. And Thursday night, we're doing a party with Track and Trail. So I know it's on the schedule. So if you don't have the Jeep Beach app, download that and find the Track and Trail party. And you'll be able to find us there as well. So,
Can't order them?
cannot order these. No.
No tank tops?
We have plenty of other shirts on our website that you can order. Plenty. So.
We got a couple more questions.
Sure.
Do you feel 488 is not enough gears to run 40s on a 392?
Yeah, not even close. What'll happen is
you
can do it. You can do it, but what's happening is you're using all of what the 8-speed has. So instead of getting that deeper first and second gear, now you're making the transmission compensate for the lack of gearing in the axle. And you're really kind of taken away from the performance and what that was originally intended to do. What you want all the gear reduction in the axle. Because what's happening is if you do all the gear reduction further up, you're putting more stress on the transmission, the transfer case, the drive shafts. You want that final drive all out right at the axle shafts. Hopefully that makes sense.
And how did you run the exhaust on the 392? Did you keep the Y pipe or switch to an X pipe or true dual?
So we did a true dual all the way to the muffler. And it is a work of art. It's all stainless, absolutely beautiful. Stock is 2 3/4, like just over 2.5. And we went 3-inch all the way. So it is awesome.
Oh, Max Zink said, crashed my JK 2016, thinking of buying it in the auction. Do you have any tips for changing the complete frame?
Yes. You need to call in and talk to Andrew Harris and get your name on the list, because we are going to build that EXS frame for the JK. And it'll come with everything already done on it. All the shock towers, the cross members, everything will be done. And that is something I wasn't going to talk about, but that I'm doing on Terremoto. So you could get your name on that list and get one. I would. So here's the deal. If you're going to build a Jeep and you really want to wheel the heck out of it, buy the cheapest Jeep you can find and spend all the money on good parts. Do not go buy a $65,000, $70,000, $80,000 Jeep and then wheel the piss out of it, because you're just trashing it. You're going to have to spend $150,000 in addition to the purchase price. Buy a Jeep for $5,000-8,000 and put $100,000 into parts, and you're going to have one capable Jeep. So
Rick Turner asked, do the mechanical fans go bad?
So that doesn't have a mechanical fan. But yes, mechanical fans do go bad. By the way, there's still a clutch on a mechanical fan, and those do fail. By the way, there's a little coil on the front that senses heat, and that's what engages it. So those do go bad. Typically, a mechanical fan would go bad by getting stuck on, but sometimes they get stuck open and just freewheeling. But on all the vehicles we've been talking about so far, they all have electric fans. So, and those do go bad, especially if you've gone through water or mud or something. If that thing's spinning at full tilt and you shock it with hitting it with liquid, you can break the blades. I mean, you can wreck the motor. There's all kinds of stuff that could happen. So, yeah.
Oh, we want to know if there's an exception on these Aqua shirts for Aqua Jeep Girl.
Oh, isn't she going to be there?
I guess not.
Oh, man. She might know the right person.
I'll personally save you one.
Yeah, okay.
I got you, girl.
Yeah.
Jason, wife wants to know if she can have Terremoto's old frame. She'll pay for it.
It's beat.
It is beat.
It is beat. Yeah. It is smashed beyond smashed. By the way, I have a rear bumper I just pulled off Terremoto, and I'm pulling off this front bumper that are slightly used that I'd be happy to make somebody a deal on. So just hit me up on Facebook Messenger, and I'd be happy to make you a killer deal you can't refuse.
She said Florida's a little too far for her, but we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Night Diver said 91 YJ 3K, ECG CVR Dana 60, 5.38 front and rear, 538 gear, GenRight front, 3-link, hoops, rear, 4-link, tower shock mount, full roll cage, crawler tank, golden Atlas 4-speed. Love the show. Oh, I thought that was a question.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a full GenRight build. I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Keep going.
That had all the right stuff on it, so that's good.
Oh, are you, VB Tom, are you going to offer these or other limited edition shirts for Mickey Thompson Night and Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion?
We are. That's a great question. I should have thought of that. So I just noticed we took a screenshot of our website, and we've got Jeep Beach on here. Obviously, there's driving on the beach. Next is High Desert Roundup, and there's runs of all different levels at High Desert Roundup. You do not have to have a full GenRight Jeep. In fact, last year, Jordan took our budget YJ that we call 4-shock out here to High Desert Roundup, and he and a couple other guys just had a great time wheeling all over the place, including all the way out to In-N-Out Burger. They did a night run out there, so there's plenty to do out here. There's Jeep games on Sunday. If you live anywhere near Los Angeles, this is the closest event, the funnest one. It's a great cause. It supports Cal 4-wheel and helps to keep trails open, so I recommend hitting that. And then we've got our Hot Springs, Arkansas. We've got Smoky Mountain and something else in here, and then Trail Hero and our turkey run. So we're trying to get people to plan for these out here. So if you can, make our turkey run. It's 10 days. You don't have to come for all 10. You can come for 1, 2, 10, whatever you want. Wheel with us. We will look after you. We will make sure you have a great time, and you will get to wheel the hammers. So great opportunity to come do that.
And then Troy Merritt asked, how can you tell if your clutch fan is working properly, 95YJ?
So when it's cold, you start the engine, that fan should not be spinning. Then once it warms up, the fan should engage and you should feel a strong airflow. A factory mechanical fan is a strong airflow. So, and then check it a couple of times, after you've been out driving, make sure that while it's warm, that's still engaged and flowing. You can replace, by the way, just the clutch fan, or you can get the whole thing. It's up to you, but they're relatively inexpensive. And if your Jeep's 30 years old, I would recommend, throwing a new one in if you suspect there's any issue with that thing.
And then Matt Hawkins asked, for those of us that just enjoy building our own cages, will you offer just the roll cage mounting brackets as a separate kit?
We do. Yeah, go over to our website, and depending on the vehicle you have, A-pillars, what do we call those things? I'm drawing a blank, hang on. Jeff might be on and able to answer too.
For the JL EXS...
Oh, stanchions. So, yes, all the stanchions are available for CJ, YJ, TJ. Yeah, the stanchions are there. They're relatively inexpensive, $2.99 for the set. So, yeah, by all means, buy them. And we have by the way, we have a whole DIY section. So, if you go under products or accessories, there's a complete do-it-yourself.
Like for 2011 JK.
Oh, JK.
For roll cage brackets.
No, we don't sell the bracket kit separate. So, yeah, that's a little too complicated, unfortunately.
Okay, Dick Gould said, JL EXS suspension system complete frame. Can you get it with aftermarket bumper mounts for a fee?
That question has not been asked, but why don't you send a message to me so I've got your contact information? You can just do it on Facebook Messenger or email me or whatever, and I can get you a price on that.
And will the new Fox shocks going on Terremoto be available for the Elite JK system?
Yes. So that will become the new spec, and those will be readily available. And I'm telling you, they got some new stuff in there. So what happened was Mike Kim, who is also an off-road racer, and we're sponsored by Fox. So he rode with me in Terremoto, and we were ripping around. And I was showing him like, hey, could we make this better? Could we do this? Obviously Terremoto is of Jeeps. It's the best there is, right? Well, he goes, dude, you need to get these shocks off. We got some new stuff I can put in here, and we can make this better. So I'm like, heck yeah, I'm on it. So yeah, I can't wait.
All right.
I've got some big plans for the Terremoto in coming years here. So I think our customers and fans will be pretty excited about what we're going to do with that.
Oh, and Troy asked, is there a chance it's not turning at proper speed at highway speeds on the 95YJ?
There is. If that clutch fan is not strong, then yeah, it wouldn't be pulling like it should. Now remember, the mechanically driven fan is based on a function of RPM, right? So say for instance you're in fifth gear where the RPM's lower, you can go to fourth and pick up the RPM, which increases the fan speed and the water, the rate at which the water is flowing through. So those are good things to try. Those are definitely good things to try.
All right.
Yeah. I know heat's a problem, and don't forget, add hood louvers. Everything you can do to just get the heat out of there. It's going to help. And hood louvers usually, if your temperature gauge is, in a position you've always seen it, if you put hood louvers on it, it'll be one click lower. So you'll be impressed by just what hood louvers can do.
Tony stood aftershock vertically on the bumper at EJS with minor damage. It's crazy strong. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad Rubicon, do you happen to know when the new Falcon coilovers will be available?
I do not. I heard rumor of them. It's one of those things where as soon as I heard about them, it's a weird spring size. They don't offer different spring rates. There was a bunch of things about them that I was like, how do they expect to sell these? Like, if you put coilovers on, the whole idea is that you can dial it in to the weight of your vehicle, right? Whether you're running a pretty light vehicle or a slightly heavier vehicle because you're overlanding or whatever you're doing, that's the benefit, one of the benefits of a coilover. Now, when we talk about coilovers, we're moving all the spring and dampening control right out to the wheels. So that changes the predictability and the handling of the vehicle. And that's why so many people prefer our Elite or EXS or Tracer or Legend suspension systems. So we started that, long time ago, 17 years ago.
All right.
So, all right, we're 10 after. So if you don't have any more questions, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Of course, if you guys are happy with our product, we didn't even talk about that. If you're happy with our product, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Turn on your notifications. We'd sure appreciate it. Or do a review over on our website. So thanks again, and we will come to you next Wednesday from Daytona.